Well, it's true that IELTS listening is one of the most scoring modules of the IELTS test. But if you're someone who's getting stuck at 5.5, 6, or maximum 6.5, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is Rahil Zafar. I'm an IELTS instructor and I've been training students on IELTS for almost 8 years now. I've helped more than 1,000 students get their desired band scores. So I've divided this video into 3 parts. In the first part of this video, I'll share my experience of taking the computer-delivered IELTS test. In the second part, I'm going to share some super important tips and strategies with you that will help you boost your score in the listening module. And in the final part, I'm going to share some common mistakes that students make because of which their score goes down to 6 or maybe 5.5. So without any further ado, let's quickly get started. When it comes to taking the IELTS test, you've got 2 options. You can either go for the paper-based test or for the computer-delivered test. Now, I've taken the paper-based test earlier, but then I wanted to experience the computer-delivered test. And very often my students used to ask me this question. So what's the difference between the paper-based test and the computer-delivered test? And which one is better for me? So I read a couple of articles and I watched a lot of videos, but then to truly understand the difference, I had to take the test. So I'm going to share my experience with all of you, but before that, let us quickly understand the difference between the both. Although there are differences in the computer-based test and the paper-based test, the number of questions and the types of questions are absolutely same. Let's quickly have a look at the differences. So when you take the paper-based test, you will be given a question booklet and an answer sheet separately. And you will be required to write all your answers using a pencil on the answer sheet. In the computer-delivered test, you are supposed to type all your answers of all the sections using a keyboard. Let's talk about the results. So for the paper-based test, the results come out after 13 days. But for computer-delivered test, you'll get them within 3 to 5 business days. Let's talk about the availability. Now, the paper-based test is usually available on Thursdays and Saturdays. That means twice a week. But the computer-based test is available 5 to 6 times a week. That means you have got more options over there. The timing for both the tests is same. It's just that in the listening module, you get some extra time in the paper-based test and the computer-delivered test. That varies basically. So in the paper-based test, students will get 10 minutes extra at the end of the listening section to transfer their answers from the question booklet to the answer sheet. But in the computer-delivered test, you will get only 2 minutes to check your answers. So use that time wisely. So these are the major differences in the computer-delivered test and the paper-based test. Now talking about my experience. So when I registered for the computer-delivered test, I went to IDP's official website and selected the dates that were available. Then I selected my city. And finally, I chose the computer-delivered IELTS. After this, I filled in some basic information. Please remember that you need to have a valid passport to be able to complete the registration process. So when you go for the test, please make sure that you carry your passport with you and you reach the venue at least 45 minutes before the test starts, be it your speaking test or your listening, reading and writing. Now, when I reached the venue, I was asked to sit in a large room where I could see other test takers also sitting, and then there were a couple of lockers also. After a couple of minutes, a person from IDP came to me and then they checked my ID and then they asked to click my picture, of course, for the registration process. Once all of this was done, they gave me an ID card and along with that, they gave me a key to the locker. Now, you can carry your mobile phones with you, you can carry your smartwatch, your wallet and everything, but then that has to be kept in the locker. You cannot take these things inside the test room. Now, let me quickly share my experience of taking the computer-delivered IELTS test, and by the end of this section, I will also try to answer the question, which test is better? So after taking this IELTS test on computer, I realized a couple of things. First, that I'm more comfortable reading longer texts on a paper instead of on a screen. And second, typing is not my cup of tea. Also, sitting in front of the computer for 2.5 hours continuously did put some strain on my eyes. It wasn't like I was watching and enjoying a movie, it was completely different. I was involved in doing so many things altogether. For example, reading the passages, listening to the audio, finding out answers to the questions. Everything was being done simultaneously. So now when students ask me this question, so which test should I go for or which test is better for me, I simply give them a link to a free IELTS mock test, computer-delivered one. And I've given it to you in the description as well. So you can go check it out for yourself. And then I ask my students to take this test and see if they're more comfortable with the computer-based method or the paper-based method. Now let's move to the second part of this video where I'm going to share 5 super important tips and strategies that helped me score an 8.5 in the IELTS listening test. And I'm pretty confident they're going to help you out too. Tip number 1. Understand and practice all question types individually. So the IELTS listening module has got 10 different types of questions. matching information, multiple choice questions. Then we have some completion types of questions. For example, summary completion, table completion, flowchart completion, etc. And we also have short answer questions and map and plan labeling questions. Now I made sure that I practiced all the types of questions individually. And the questions that demanded more practice and more time, I devoted that time over there. Tip number 2. Now listen to these IELTS practice test recordings for at least 20 minutes every day. Now instead of watching some random videos on YouTube or other OTT platforms, I actually started listening to these IELTS listening test recordings. Now this helped me understand what kind of accents do they use in the listening test and understand the pace of the audio. Tip number 3, read all the instructions carefully. Now in the test you'll be given instructions like write no more than 2 words and or a number, or write only 1 word as your answer. Now in this case, when they ask you to write only 1 word, please stick to that. For example, if the answer was computer and you ended up writing a computer, you will lose marks. So adhere to the instructions. Tip number 4, and this is very useful. Write all your answers in block letters. It's absolutely fine to write your answers in capital letters, so don't worry about it. Plus, it ensures that you do not make spelling errors. Just turn the caps lock on and write all your answers. Tip number 5, use those 2 minutes at the end wisely. Check for silly mistakes and make sure that you have answered all the 40 questions. Before we move to the final part of this video, I wanted to tell you that I'm starting a new IELTS batch this month. And if you want to enroll in one of my live classes, you can contact me on WhatsApp on this number given below, and I'll share the details with you over there. Alright, part 3, common mistakes you should avoid. Number 1, don't get stuck on one question, move on. Remember, in the IELTS listening module, you do not get the opportunity to replay the audio. It's played only once. Remember one thing, it's okay to lose 1 point, but it's not okay to lose another point because of that. So move on to the next question as soon as you have realized that you have missed an answer. Number 2, transfer your answers accurately. Now this could possibly be the reason why I lost 0.5 band. Because I clearly remember I answered all the 40 questions, but possibly I answered 1 or 2 questions in the wrong order. So please make sure that you transfer or you type all your answers accurately and use those 2 minutes wisely at the end. Number 3, please utilize the time given to you to read the questions properly. Now before they start playing the audio for each and every part, they give you 20 to 25 seconds to read those questions. So utilize that time wisely. Read all the questions, underline the keywords, underline the important words, and then start using prediction. 4th, don't give up. See, everyone makes mistakes. Even if you have realized that you have missed an answer or you have made a mistake, just make sure that you complete the listening test. You don't give up in the middle. And the final one, don't leave any question unanswered. Even if you have missed an answer during the listening test, just make sure you make an educated guess and you write something, you type something over there. Alright, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And if you found this video useful, please make sure you drop a comment and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, keep learning and keep smiling. Bye-bye. Then we have short answer questions and map and plan labeling questions as well. Map and plan labeling questions, sorry.